Welcome into your Monday morning edition of Coffee and Chel. Big episode today, again, after 1 week of doing essentially hour-long episodes trying to get there. It's been a lot of fun, and we're going to try and keep it going. I am going to make sure that these are improving as we go along, so I've got a lot of actual constructive feedback that you guys have given me that I'm paying attention to, and I am trying to make these as best as they possibly can. So first things first, a little bit more structure to these. Again, I know a lot of people, some people aren't here for like normal like life updates or just random rants about things in gaming and all of that. It's Hockey Ultimate Team, and I totally understand that, and I don't feel any ill will or anger or anything like that for anyone that just kind of wants the hut nonsense, And for that, I think I want to start my episodes, like I said, with as much HUD as possible and really trying to keep it Hockey Ultimate Team oriented as we go along. Because again, talking for an hour by myself, at some points it's going to be pretty tough, but I am being cognizant that a lot of my viewers that you guys have stated that you want the longer episode. So let's start with week 2 of the next gen event. So we've got the final drop of the next gen event, and man, I don't have an ego big enough to think that the content team just like does releases and things for me specifically. But if there was ever an event to spend money, making Ryan Robrick one of the limited ones was hilarious in itself. So, for anyone that does know not Ryan Robrick, I have literally watched almost every game of his career in the OHL, and he is one of the best players on the Niagara Ice Dogs and will be a first-round pick in the NHL draft. Again, was just surprised to see him be the limited edition. Landon DuPont is he's been a hyped prospect for years now. And I do want to touch on the Gavin McKenna thing. So Gavin McKenna and a lot of the U.S. or college players, EA has to pay for their rights. And it's not like it's a standardized thing. So for anyone that doesn't know, and when NCAA college football came out, one of the big things that they ran into was that the players didn't agree. They basically, I don't know the exact amount. It was like $500 to $1,000 for every Division I athlete in football. They had to just pay for their name, image, and likeness. Now, for your like backup kicker, that's a walk on at some slack low division, the whatever school. 500 to $1,000 is probably great. However, if you're like, a superstar athlete, you're probably like, nah, man, you're not getting my image and likeness, And I don't know if it's like that for hockey, but there's a whole other can of worms because I think it's probably coming at some point, but you got to think if they're going to pay for the rights to not just get the players, because I don't know if the schools individually will allow that or how it works, but like to get Michigan State in the game, like that's probably going to be very expensive. And again, for something like college football, which will easily make enough revenue to cover any of those costs, the NHL video game, I don't think that from a business standpoint that the people writing the checks are going to justify that. I hope it does come eventually. But when it comes to like Gavin McKenna stuff, for anyone who doesn't know, most hype prospects since Bedard, I guess, which sounds funny because he's only been in the league for a couple of years. But he's now at Penn State, and obviously with the NCAA, they have to pay for his name, image, and likeness because they don't just have the rights to him like a CHL player would. So obviously the cost was a little high, would be my guess, because we did get James Hagens last year in an event, if you remember correctly. So it's not like they're not willing to do that. But my guess would be that cost is just a little too high, and that's why we're not seeing a lot of the college players. I hope one of the things that I really hope to see is that if there is an ability to pay for some of the collegiate players when it comes to the World Juniors, that's huge. Like Gavin McKenna is not going to be you're not going to have a World Junior event that has Gavin McKenna in it, but more specifically for Team USA. So if you go back and look at the World Junior event, and every year there's like, before last year, it wasn't a fantasy. It was like whoever wins gold, those cards go up by +2 or +3. The problem was that Team USA, the only players that they had access to were someone that was in Europe or CHLers, and CHL players that make the American team are usually like fourth liners. Like they really don't like putting CHLers on Team USA. Just historically, they really don't enjoy doing it, or they highlight their own, like with the national development program or collegiate players. So I would, it looks like they'll maybe do a fantasy event again. That'd be my guess because it was so well received. The problem is with Team USA, it's always like very the lesser, or I don't want to say lesser. Yeah, the less talented players. It's always it's not the highlighted players like Gabe Perreault, for example, things like that. So I'm hoping that maybe they pay for the rights for those individual players, but I don't know what the cost is because you see some of these deals and whatnot, and it's absurd. And I would rather them just spend the money on something else, if I'm being honest. But I hope they come to an agreement because the World Junior event is so good, especially the fantasy one. If you can get all of the USA kids that are on Team USA and things like that, it would make it so much better. Now with Team Canada, because again, you're gonna have a Team Canada World Junior event with no Gavin McKenna. But when it comes to the next gen event, obviously, super stoked that Ryan Robrick got recognized, or just an Niagara Ice Dog in general, as someone who's local, and I still love the Ice Dog, so always fun to see. The next gen event as a whole was very interesting because we clearly see the ideas and plans that they have for this season format, okay, with the line combinations. So I got to be honest with you. I think that while not everyone is going to agree that having 99 overall line combinations possible in November is a good thing, I would argue that it's only 2 weeks. But nonetheless, there are people out there that even for 2 weeks, that's a lot. And I played very little NHL this week, mostly because I just didn't want to play ranked, and I'm a little burnt out on NHL, and I'm not chasing any line combos, right? So I just didn't play a lot this week, and I think that there's a lot of online players that play online, but they're not hardcore. They probably did the same kind of thing. They just avoid the DuPont situation, right? But that being said, it's very interesting because we talked a lot about how MLB did this sets and season format, and it was so horribly received. They tried to change the game too much, where they went from base cards to 99s in basically a 2.5 month span, and then they reset all the way back down to base cards again, and then you go back up to 99, basically 4 times in a year. And it was just it was so horribly received. I think that there's an interesting part to it. There is no way to get away from the fact that the hype for season two, it's just like building. Like, I'm excited for season two because I think that it's so much content comes out at one time, and we also have a lot of things that we're gonna find out that we don't know yet. But there's no way to say that these like content nukes, that's what I call them, they aren't extremely engaging. I think they've nailed it on the head with this format. It's just interesting because we're not going from 99s to zeros because the cards overall stay the same, but we kind of are because of the line combinations. And I think that's just an interesting way to do it. Very interesting. I would have never come up with something like that. And I enjoy it, and I think that it is good, but it is going to be very interesting to see how slow the curve is. So one of the big takeaways that I'm from season one, I don't know how much different season two will be in the grand scheme of things because it is the first. They can take all the feedback, which I'm sure they are, but I don't know how much is going to change because they need to stick to their guns and not make too many adjustments to see if this works. Really, season three, I think, is where you're going to see the big adjustments. If you remember last year, not that I agree with that, but it's just from an info gathering standpoint, right? Like, there isn't enough to know how the player base is going to react when they came up with this new season idea. How is it going to work, and how bad or how good is it going to be received, right? Because they have a plan, and if they don't have a plan, then like this is all just a mess. But I think season three is where we're going to see a lot of like the actual changes, whether it's to rewards, line combinations, all of that, because I think that is when they've gotten a full season changeover. We've now seen how it's going to work, and now it's just we're going to repeat the process over and over again. So very interested for Friday. It's going to be an awesome stream. And if you guys want to hang out, the content video last time when the worldwide launch happened, it legitimately took me like 3 hours to go through everything, going over all the new icons, heroes, captains, all of that. And then we're going to have changes for sure to some other things. I would assume so. When it comes to the next gen event specifically, it's interesting because the cards as a whole, something that we're not. I was doing the ranking video for the next gen event, right? And I was trying to do the rankings based on when these line combinations reset in 5 days. What do these cards look like? Because that's the real way that you have to rank them, right? I think that Matthew Schaefer and Demidov are ones, if you didn't care about any of the cards, would be the ones I would make because I think that they're, I don't want to say guaranteed outside of injury. It looks like they're a lock to make the Calder nomination. And the Calder nomination allows those cards to go to 96 overall. We actually don't know if we have to pay for the upgrade or not. So that's very interesting. I don't know if it'll just automatically go to 96. I think I'm probably hoping too much there, but you never know. And then the winner goes to 99, and that happens in June, and that's so ridiculous, so far away. But we saw that we didn't really get 99s at all last year. So getting a 96 and a 99, just for making it an MSP right now, it's probably like it's not a bad way to go if you're going to play all year. So Schaefer is who I'd make. But the thing is, when you go and look at Schaefer's card, when I did my rankings, not a good card. And one of the things I was noticing while I was going through the rankings is that it's going to be very interesting gameplay wise, because when everything resets, we are going to feel the attribute reduction. It is going to feel very slow. When I was playing Wildcard, there is no line combos. So I was playing Wildcard this week, and it felt like I was on 800 ping. And there was nothing wrong. It was simply that I'm used to high 90 speed, and you go back down to 85 to 90, and that is noticeable. And I think that is going to be maybe a bit of a shock. And I don't know if it'll be a bad thing because, again, everyone complains that 99 HUD is the worst, which it is. But I think that it's going to feel very slow. And I wonder if that's going to be annoying for a little while because people aren't going to realize it, right? But I think that is something that we'll see because if you look at like Nikishin, for example, unbelievable card, like 985 speed. In 2 weeks, if he does not get a combo that boosts up his skating, like he is going to be a really rough card, which then brings me back to the point of, man, the Beast Mode event was so good. So good. Because if you could make Nikishin, power him down, and then wait until he does get a boost to make him usable because of his skating, just such a better way to do it. I will say, if you think about it though, the last 3 events have, well, not 3, but, they're doing a good job of individualizing events. So the Beast Mode event came out, and it operates far different than all the other events, right? In my opinion, the best way to do it. But then the next gen event comes out, and you make the cards that win the Calder. So I actually really enjoy that. Like, because that's like a feature that isn't in every event, right? Like, I actually love that aspect of it because there is a little bit of like preparing, shooting your shot. There's a fantasy event tied to it a little bit, and I do think it's interesting. I do wish the next gen event was what we got in week 1 of season 2, because I think the next gen event is probably the most hyped non-fantasy team of the year, team of the season event that we get every year. Just because it's players like Zbuyum or Demidov who don't have headshots. And again, it's one of the interesting ways that they can get around the no team headshot because the teams didn't send them in time. So they can do master set art, right? And then they can also upgrade well. Like, so I just think it's done very well. I wish it was probably the launch of season 2, but there's going to be so much to chase on Friday with the new event. Like, it is what it is, right? Like, that's just a small complaint of mine. But again, when it comes to what you should do with your next gen cards and what I would recommend, Robrick and DuPont, I think are fine cards. Like, I think they're good. Again, what I was talking about when I'm going through the rankings, 88 to 90 speed is going to be very good in the grand scheme of things. Because if you look, the progression is so slow, but we're kind of forgetting about it because of all these line combos, right? But when you remove the line combos and start back to, where we were at the beginning of the year, like 88 to 90 speed is very good. And it was hard to rank these cards. 'Cause I was looking at I think Snuggerud has 87 speed, and it's like, man, that sucks. But then I was thinking about it, I was like, well, I mean, I guess it's like average. It's not awful because when line combos come out, if it's only +1 or 2, and I think that's the big thing. So we went from +10 line combos, right? And if one of the biggest questions I have for season 2, let's get into season 2 a little bit here. When it comes to season 2, one of my biggest questions is, are they removing all but 10? Because I think if you go back to launch of the game, there was 8 to 10 line combinations for overall. Overall is kind of the biggest one. And then AP, then salary, right? But when it comes to the overall, are they just going to do +2 and +1s? And is that enough? Has the +10 made it where we're I'm not doing any of this? Because this is what I was talking about with the exhaustion. So while it is a better format than what MLB did, but we know what's coming. That's the problem. This is what sunk MLB when doing this structure. So I'll give you an example. New event comes out, season 2, it's going to be amazing because the new heroes, icons, like we're going to be overwhelmed with content, right? But after about 2-3 weeks, it fizzles out and we're back into the we're hyped just on the Fridays, right? For the new MSPs because those are cards that we can build and add to our teams and all of that. The problem is that when that starts happening, that's when content gets a little boring. Just any ultimate team is going to fall into that little kind of rut. They can't all be bangers, right? They can't all be insane. We would just be overwhelmed and we would just be like, I'm not doing this. I'm not chasing after these cards. However, if it's only +2 overall boosts, we know that in a month we'll be up to there's about a 6-week span or let's say half the season. The face-off event was what? 4 weeks ago, about a month ago. There'll be a month of really crazy line combos that can boost up our cards. So why are you paying super attention to the 1+2 and chasing that? That leads to a little bit of boredom. I don't want to do this right now. I'd rather wait and get the big stuff as it comes. Then you start losing a little bit of the player base because you get that exhaustion, right? Like I'm not chasing this now when I could just wait a couple weeks and there'll be way better line combos. And maybe the cards that I have now will be more viable as opposed to chasing the new hot cards right now. Again, this is all new. This format is so new that we have no idea. And again, I think it is for the best. I think that this is the best hockey ultimate team from a team build and content standpoint that we've had. Maybe not ever, but year over year, I've really enjoyed it. And but this is the one of the biggest downfalls to this format is the exhaustion of the player base. Because again, if you go back to the old format, let's say you didn't play, you played a month and then you try to come back in January and you've got 86 overall MSPs, everyone's into the 90s. But if you play for 2 weeks, you can get enough cards to be usable, right? So, it's an interesting kind of give and take there to see how that's going to work. When it comes to just the next gen event as well, that was the last event. So they had to make it a really good event because they knew that people would be like, okay, I know they'll be smart enough. We're informed enough to be like, okay, we know it's coming. We're not chasing a lot of this. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with Robrick and DuPont specifically. I'm going to get Rubric, one of my favorite players to watch, and Niagara Ice Dog. I talk a lot about how, use your favorite players. But more importantly, the thing that it's hard for me to stress because there is I only like playing online, and I'm not an elite player. So I have to take into account, is this card going to be not as impactful as another card? And there is a little bit to that, but 99% of the player base doesn't play like that. Maybe 95%, because I feel like there's a lot like me that just want to play online and really just care about winning. But I'm slowly becoming the other way. I'm putting my wingers on the strong side because I like the look of it and the feel of it a little bit more, just from a hockey standpoint. I like cycling and shooting upstairs, but it's neither here nor there. So I'll grab Robrick and Misa and Schaefer probably, just because I don't know if I'm going to make Demidov, but those are the 3 that I'm going to chase. And for everyone else, like I said, I don't know. One of the things I'm also curious about when it comes to events, the Landon DuPont and Robrick situation. So many were pulled that those packs were well received by the player base and EA's bank account. So are they going to do that more and more? And there's a danger to that because it's going to be awfully annoying if the best MSPs every event are from the packs that people open. Because, again, this is an online game. Video games are online. We're well informed. What is going to happen is people are going to figure it out. Watch what happened with Robrick. Robrick's under 100,000 coins. What ends up happening when you get a card like that? People realize, why am I spending 300,000 coins or $40 to not even guarantee the card when I can just spend under 100,000 coins to get the card? People are going to figure that out. And then less packs are purchased, but the best cards. So then the less packs are purchased, the higher the price. Again, it's you see what I'm saying? I don't know. That is going to be, that's a slippery slope that I hope is just something that they've done for one event. I think we can all agree that that is probably going to be something that is going to be very regular. And again, it did go over well. It was a pack that wasn't guaranteed, but it was high enough that, it was enough to convince people that, I'm not spending money. But, hey, maybe I'll put $20 in, and maybe take my shot at it. Even though I think it's a $40 pack, but you get what I'm saying, right? So, I don't know. When it comes to season 2, though, again, the line combo reset, very interesting there. I'm okay with +1s and 2s again, but I can't wait for your guys' feedback these videos in season 2, getting your feedback is going to be I'm going to love reading through it, because I don't know, again, how I play the game is so much different than everyone else. It's going to be very interesting to see when, okay, you've made this great team. You've got +6s, +10s across the board, and now it's like maybe you have one line. We have a lot of cards. We do have a lot of cards, so I don't think it's going to be where a lot of people, if you played since the beginning of the game, like Brock Faber might still be useful. Even one of the best cards. Honestly, at the beginning of season 2, he's probably going to make my team again, even without a line combo. But you get what I'm saying, right? There's a lot of cards that you might have some line combos that are interesting to chase after. But we're gonna have far more coins, far more cards, and the economy is far bigger than was at launch of the game when we had no idea what we're doing. So now, if there's only 10 line combos, God, those +2s, like 1 million in total to get all 3 cards. You know what I'm saying? Like, very interesting to see that. And then is salary. So salary, if you think back to launch of the game, wasn't a problem for about the first couple weeks of the game. Even if you were no money spent, there just wasn't enough high overall cards that could get you there. You got to it, but it wasn't like where you're like, wow, I legitimately have to lose a bunch. It wasn't about until about a month in where it was like, okay, I need salary cap relief, like the game or the marquee cards when the marquee event came out with those. So that was about what, like a month in, and you really needed salary cap relief. I'm wondering if no one did the +1 or 2 million salary cap line combos. I'm wondering if hopefully the lowest amount of salary cap relief is like 5 million, because I just don't think 1 or 2 million is going to be worth it. Maybe 3, if you want to call it that, is the lowest that the line combo. So like a +1 overall, +2 overall, sure, but +3 to 5 million for salary. And same with the AP. We've got great cards now with more abilities. Are they going to, first of all, I think they'll raise up the salary cap. My guess would be like 110 million, maybe 120. And same with AP. I think it would, I don't know. I think the base is 15. Maybe it's 10. It'll probably go up 5, would be my guess. Maybe 10, because it's a season, not a month, right? So it'll be very interesting to see how that scales. But yeah, like that, we've kind of figured out like how icons and heroes are going to work. Obviously, it looks like you're going to require, my guess is if 88s come out, it's going to require 286s, but I don't know. That's all a guess to me. And to assume that we know and prepare is just foolish to me. Like, I understand. So, when it comes to season 2, people are going to ask me, like, what are you doing to prepare for season 2? It's a very popular thing I get on my stream and whatnot. Here's what I'm doing. I'm just saving everything, because the thing I took away from season 1 is that at any point a card can become extremely valuable, and not just master set player items. I think that for too long, master set player items were the end all be all. They found a way to make event items useful and base cards useful. Like, that is one of the great things that they did with this new format, where every card at the drop of a hat can become one of the best. Artem Guriev, 300,000 coin card, an 82 overall. That's always going to be my prime example. But there's lots of them. Base Nick Suzuki ended up being 20 million to the salary cap, +7 overall. You know what I'm saying? Like, so having cards and holding on to them is the best course of action. However, that also means, as a no money spent player, it is also an economy. Cards are an economy. You trade in overalls to get higher overalls, like master set player items. So how do you balance that? Again, I think that they give you a master set player item every event. I think you just have to be very selective and use that stuff as, trade-ins to make a master set player item that will help you out. But they found a way to make the account bound sets also worth it. So Beckett Seneca, for example, is better than almost all of the master set player items, and you could get him. He was one of the first drops, so you could have got him guaranteed, I believe, on that first weekend, right? So I'm actually happy that they found a way to make that stuff more useful, because that was always just an ignored set. But when it comes to preparing, yes, you could go and buy a higher overall, because at some point, like 85 overall items will be used for trade-ins for things. So having more now when they're not specifically usable, like, it's more important. 85s are technically, I think that if they're the same price as 84s, I'm going to do Market Monday later, so I just haven't checked. But you get what I'm saying, right? So if you have a lot of coins, I just like the freedom, man. Like, there's people out there that game and they're like Bagel. He's in my Discord, one of the best market players that play the game. I don't really care about all that stuff. Obviously, it's great. One of the things that's really pissed me off about content this year as a no money spent player is that even if you spent money, you don't have a significant advantage. If you spent money during exact specific times, you are rich for the rest of the game. Perfect example, the 2 hours after the fantasy event, I think it was a Tuesday or a Monday, where the pack pulls, or maybe it was right after the fantasy event ended, and they left fantasy cards in the pack pool. If you spent $200 and pulled one fantasy item, most of them went for 2 million. And so if, let's say you spent $100 and you got two fantasy items, which a lot of people did, or maybe in just one, you've made more coins than you need for the rest of the year. And I think that is extremely unfair. Now, not everyone got it, not very many, but like if you were to spend money throughout the year, those people that spent money, a lot of it, like there's people that spend $1,000 at launch of the game. Like, yeah, you have a lot of stuff and you probably are fine. Like, you're not poor and hut by any means. But if someone spent $100 and got a fantasy card during those 2 hours where they left fantasy cards in the pack pool, probably you're in a better spot. So that's very, very frustrating. That one was very annoying to me, that they've got to make sure that's locked up, because it's a game where you spend real money, and there is a delicate balance of people that just want to play the game, don't want to spend money, and the people that do want to spend money. And again, I don't shame anyone for spending money. I think that it sucks for people that spend money, to be honest with you, because again, if you just did it very, very specific times, you made out like a bandit. So when it comes to just what to do with a no money spend player, I'm just saving everything, man. I'm going to make Misa. I'm going to buy Robrick. And not because I think Robrick, he's a good card, but it's not, he's an ice dog, meaning that there's not going to be ice dog line combos. I mean, maybe, but like probably not, right? So you lose a little bit of flexibility there, because when you make a match set item, you got the event, which they probably won't highlight events in line combos for season 2. My assumption of that. But so you can't get like the plus like 12 boosts or whatever, but nationality and team, 100% they do. Right? Like that's a way for a card to be safe, because now the only way that Robrick's going to fit into something is for Canada. And Canada's a very popular one, so there's going to be something that involves Canada, but still, you get what I'm saying. And then everything else, I'm just gonna hold on to again, and then hope to see that the rewards are improved and things like that. Speaking of rewards and progression, I do this every once in a while, but I like to get questions that if you could sit down with the developer and ask. I'm going to keep this specifically about HUT and not gameplay. Maybe a little bit of gameplay, but I want to keep this specifically about HUT so that we're on the rails. There's a lot of things that people would know, that I would want to know. But every once in a while, there's some opportunities where maybe I do get to speak to a developer and things like that. And I like to have like a resource to go back to, being like, okay, this is the really pressing matters. And I'm going to give you mine. And then again, there's a lot of things that I'll miss just because of the way I play the game, things like that I don't think about. So I just want to know, make sure this is going to be a very important episode, guys. Go through and let's put it as dev question. So if you, for this part specifically, type dev question and then your question, and go through, guys. And you guys are really good at reading comments and liking comments that are important, so I love that. Make sure you like one so that I can sort them very easily. And again, no guarantee that I'll get to speak to a developer, but I, sometimes they reach out, sometimes I reach out, and maybe there's a chance where we can communicate. And I like to at least have some ammo that the community would want, so I don't waste my opportunities that I get. But we'll see. Again, not guaranteed, but sometimes that there's an opportunity to do that. So that being said, what questions I want asked and answered, I guess, would be ranked rewards and progression. So what is the plans to, or are there plans to fix ranked rewards? And what does those look like? I personally would love to see like a duplicate reward path like we have, and it's just every win you get and whatnot there. The other question I would have is, what did they see about ranked rewards, and what do they think went well and what didn't? That's something that like a lot of people don't. I love when I get to talk to the developers. It's very rare now, very rare, but I love asking them, what do you guys think went well? Because that gets me a better sense of what is actually able to be fixed, or what is going on in the background of the numbers that we can't see, right? So like I mentioned, if change does not happen unless there is complete disengagement. Okay, so for ranked, let's say, if people are playing the video game in ranked as much as they did Rivals last year, even though they're not earning rewards, that says to them the game is being played the same. Now, obviously, the rewards are awful and it's not good, right? But it's a thing where we're assuming that no one's playing ranked because we don't enjoy it and we're not getting rewards. But if the player base is still doing it as a whole, then that means that that opinion isn't blanket across the board, right? It isn't like, and then you have a conversation as to, okay, well, how can we appease both sides? Rewards for sure. Like I don't think I used to be like, if rewards are your only concern, then I think that it is not a hut problem. It's more of like, that's where you get your enjoyment is gambling to an extent, or like that hit when you're opening up packs, which is a gamble, right? And I don't mean that in a bad way. It's just how you enjoy the game, right? Like just like how I don't enjoy playing offline, majority of the player base loves playing offline, and you have to respect other people's way that they enjoy the game. If we don't respect other people and how they enjoy the game, outside of people that rag and the need to win by breaking the game entirely is an absolute joke to me. That's a massive confidence issue in my opinion. But if that's the only way that you enjoy it, that's the only time where I'm like, yo, get your head out of your ass. But I would love to see from their standpoint, what rewards could be fixed. But I'm over the I do want to earn something. I can't while I think playing the game and the game being in a good spot gameplay wise is the most important, but that's versus. And there's a reason why I don't play versus, because I like progression. That's it. Like there can't be no progression. We don't play video games like that anymore. It's simply just that's it. We don't play a video game where you sit down and you're like 2 hours of nonsense fun. You don't get anywhere, but it's just the act of the game. Very rare. We don't do that really. It's all about progression, and I think that needs to be addressed. So rewards and progression at the very minimum of objective path. Again, I don't think that's a great way to do it, but I think that's a band-aid for a problem that I don't know if they can fix from a tech standpoint middle of the year. Okay. And again, when I say they can't fix, I mean that they don't want to allocate the resources to fix that, from taking away from NHL 27. Cup chase, reward scaling, and new teams. I want to see new teams. For the people that play Cup Chase. When I was grinding Cup Chase during my subathon, the Tofino Icebergs, man, that's a rivalry greater than sport itself, But I want to see some new teams. It was like all Sharks for whatever reason, Shark alumni and weird Shark alumni, like just very, very, very odd. But Cup Chase reward scaling. I want to see if you can play on Superstar. It should be. I'm trying to figure out the way to scale this. So if the launch event for season 2 requires you to get 84 to 85 overall player items as like it's not the event 84, 86. It's like the base ones. The Superstar Cup Chase needs to hit that, but I think it should be a plus pack. And maybe that's too much like to ask for, but I think it should be a plus pack. But the reward, if it's not going to be, then it should scale to that. If you beat Cup Chase and get everything done on a Superstar run, you should get one card towards an MSP. It's not something you can farm quickly because you have to play in-game time. I can do a Cup Chase run in 2.5 hours if I score and then sit and find a way to, and you know what I mean? And that still is 2.5 hours. So if you're playing it out, then you're looking at like 4 hours to finish a Cup Chase run over a week, and you'll get the objectives done. And again, I think it is worth it. But the rewards need to be buffed up a little bit. Maybe more collectibles to do those sets. I've completely forgot about those sets because I finished all the objectives in a week. And again, I played the game far more than everyone else. But you know what I mean? Like that's got to be addressed. Menu speeds. Can we get some comms on issues with the menu, and is there something that we can do to when we're running into the data leak where everything just slows down and freezes? Is there something that we can do to speed it up? Because that needs to be addressed. Like they claimed that menu speeds, they said menu speeds were improved. Menu speeds weren't improved. They just removed the clicks, meaning that instead of 7 clicks to get into a Rivals game, it takes 2. And it does technically take less time. That does not mean the menus are faster. It just means that there is an easier way to get into the game. If you go over to the tabs, and the second you go into your team or abilities or anything that involves going to see your collection, you can just feel the data leaking off the servers. Like it is absolutely brutal. You got to close out the game, quit the game, relaunch it, and that's like really the only way to kind of get it fixed. But that needs to be addressed, and I'm wondering if they can make a statement about it. My guess would be like we're working on it, or we're always taking a look at how to improve it. It would be something actionable they could say probably. The beast mode event structure would be something I want to ask. Was it well received by the developers? Like, did they see a massive uptick in engagement from the sets being done, right? Over your normal event, right? And I would love to hear their thoughts on it. My guess would be that they're going to say something along the lines of, we don't want to get to a point where everything's the same, where the events are all the same. And the beast mode events thing is going to be an event structure that pops in and out to kind of highlight some events throughout the year. And I don't hate that, but because again, when you make something the same and just leave it, then you end up with just exhaustion of that thing. The event structure in NHL, in terms of how HUT works, has not really changed for years, and it is one of the most boring because we know what's coming. But every Friday we're a little bit more excited. It is very good in that sense, right? But it is very tired. Like collectibles and all of that, they've done multiple different ways to try and make it more exciting, and very rarely did it ever feel more exciting. Like the power up master set items, a lot of people hate that because you just want to pay for the card and get the full upgrade, as opposed to going through all these sets and exchanges and all of that, right? But then there's a lot of people that like the upgrade path because you can start with the card and then upgrade at your own pace, right? Because you have the card. You know, being able to go back and make old master set player items from other events, like those kinds of things, like those were all like nice things, but it makes the other modes, the other events cheaper, like in terms of engagement. And again, at the end of the day, it is a business, and they are going to try and, at the end of the day, obviously they want to appease the players, because if you were to ask someone blanket, go to a developer of any video game, hey, do you want your players angry or happy? Even the most money hungry, developers are going to be like, yes, if we could choose between one or two, we'd always want the player base happy. However, the most important question is always going to be, are they spending money? And it is a business, right? It just simply, that simply is. Are they playing the game? Is the game being turned on? That's number one. Like I said, if you are ever upset with the game and you want to see change, it is not spending money and a pack strike. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but a pack strike is really not going to move the needle. What will move the needle is not firing up the game. That will. Every time that it has happened, you've seen it happen in HUT. I can give you specific examples. I do this all. I've said this for a number of times, or I've used this as an example. The team builder sets in NHL 25 and how they worked. No one made the sets at all. Disengaged. That you turned off making team builders. What happened? They came out with a pack in the store that was so cheap via coins that that was the way to make team builders, right? And then they got rid of them and all of that. But you can see that there was no pack that you could buy that would it's not like they made that change because they weren't making money. Yes, they found a way, because I'm sure people made money buying those packs. They made money buying those packs, but you created the change of it because you didn't do those sets at all. It's the same thing for the game as a whole, right? Like they are going to care about how much money you're getting, but remember, even if you're no money spent, I don't mean to be the bearer of bad news, you've given them $100. That is the most important part. Getting you into the game is just the most important part, because that is sales. That is $100. You buy it on sale, whatever, all of that. But that is number one. So if there's ever anything you don't like, that's when I always tell you guys, if you're not enjoying the game, go play something else, man. 100%. Go play something else. And I've been trying to do that more and more. I talk about that a lot on this, but so that's a lot about HUT, but I would love to hear what you want the devs to ask, or what you would want to ask the devs. There's a long list of questions, and but again, those are just the quick ones that I came up with. The ranked rewards, it's got to be different. Like, that has to be different. So I'm very curious to see how that works. Okay, so one of the comments from your last episode was that, like, hey, we need more structure to these. I was all over the place, and I told you guys, just based on the fact that I have massive ADHD, that's going to happen. I'll be explaining something and go completely on another tangent, and then completely forget about the point I was trying to make, and I have to land the ship. And I do apologize. It's going to be very annoying some episodes. I'm trying. The overwhelming support that these need to be longer, I can't ignore. However, so the more structure I'm trying to do. So that was 38 minutes of Hockey Ultimate Team, essentially. I really don't have anything else to say in HUT right now. I didn't play HUT Champs this week. I was playing Tarkov, and so I just taking a little bit of break. The next gen event for me was like, okay, all of these line combos, I don't spend money. I don't have enough resources. I burned it all on the Beast Mode event, so I can't take part. So I'm playing a lot less. Someone also commented saying that something that a YouTuber that they watched called J God, I didn't know who that was. It was a Call of Duty guy, so I went and looked him up. He said you should do gameplay breakdowns like J God does. So I went and watched a few, and he essentially he'll watch like Warzone and stuff like that of viewers, and basically just goes over all of them. I used to do this. I used to do gameplay reviews back in like NHL 20. I would do it on stream and whatnot, but I think I love going over strategy and stuff like that because I'm not elite at the game because I'm old and my hands don't want to work the way that my brain's trying to tell it to. But I am very confident that I can read the game at one of the. If I were to watch the game and explain what's going on, I can do that at a very high level, right? And I think I can deliver it to you and information that is helpful for you guys for even the average player base. I'm very confident I can do that because my tutorial videos have been like the best on my channel of all time. So again, I'm just reading the numbers, and I think I can do it pretty well. And I want to give that a go. So in my Discord, I made a exclamation mark Discord. There's a Discord link down below. You should be able to get and access my Discord. On the left hand side, under NHL 26, the very last chat is gameplay breakdown. I want you guys to send me a period. So you can do this by recording on your if you hit the share button, right? Whatever that is, you can hit record last 15 minutes, whatever. I just want a period. I don't want a full game, right? That's a lot, right? But if I can do maybe one or two, because again, I'm going to break it down frame by frame and explain situations. So if you have a game where you give up 3 goals and you really don't understand how, or you lose a game that's a tough break and you want to know why does this keep happening? So think of it like this. If you're constantly giving up breakaways, send me a game where that's happening and I can show you what's going on. And I think that that can be really fun. So again, it is in my Discord. I want you to post your clips in there. If you don't know how to do it, Google how to get the clips into that. One period should be small enough to work on Discord. And then I'll do a video where I'll take 1 or 2 and I'll go through and I'll see if that works. Because I loved doing that back in like NHL 20. It took a long time, but I think we're at a point now where I actually would like to do that. So something that is going to be pretty fun. Before we get into the questions, quick life update and whatnot. So last episode I talked about how my dog always hides her cookies and treats and whatnot for sometimes days at a time. And someone replied in the comments and they're like a dog trainer. And I went and read through it all. And one of the things that they mentioned is that lack of stimulation. So they're doing it almost like as a game. And it's funny, this coincides with my wife going, she used to work from home and now she works at office, so she's not home. So my dog is kind of alone for a couple hours a day, and that makes a lot of sense. So, gonna make sure we focus on making sure, we walk her every day and things like that. But maybe pay a little bit more attention during the day and find ways to help with that. And then also that it's just completely normal. So yeah, I appreciate all the feedback and whatnot from you guys. So yeah, it looks like it's completely normal, but we are gonna try and maybe stimulate her a bit more in that sense. So appreciate all you guys reaching out there. Tarkov 1.0 dropped, so I talk about a lot about Escape from Tarkov, and if you are just if you're just a video gamer and you're paying attention to. Maybe you've never played Tarkov before. It made a lot of news, and it's very, very trendy right now because the actual full release 8 years later, finally the game is out of beta. And servers exploded. But I was playing it with Burt Crown yesterday, and I will be playing Tarkov with Burt pretty much every morning. And it's a blast. It is a game that you cannot replicate the adrenaline. Much like Arc Raiders. I know everyone says Arc Raiders. And I hate that when you like one game, it's like you almost have to hate other ones. But Arc Raiders is a game that looks like a polished, dumbed down version of Tarkov. Dumbed down is a bad word, and again, people are going to be like, I'm not trying to say it in a bad way. It's a far simpler game than Tarkov, but it takes all of the same elements of Tarkov, from the extraction shooter and the materials and all of that. But I think that someone, a creator that I follow on TikTok, said that Arc Raiders is Tarkov for employed people, and I was like, that is the perfect way to describe it, because Tarkov, I played about 2,000 hours of the game. And there are so many things that I don't understand. The depth of that game is unmatched, which is why I think it's one of the best. And you can get it on Steam now. And really enjoy playing. If you want to check it out, again, I'll be live in the mornings, probably right after I upload these videos, and every day, Monday to Friday. And I'll be playing a lot of Tarkov in the mornings before I jump on for my NHL streams in the afternoon. So I do appreciate that. And yeah. Today won't be any stream today. Going to get my tattoo done. So I've been working on my tattoo sleeve. I've got this big section right here that I'm going to get filled in. So the top part of my arm will be done. I've got Blastoise, I've got Onyx. So I think right here We're gonna get some sand in there, and I'm gonna put in the sand. I'm gonna put a Digivice, the Rebel Alliance emblem, and then the Destiny Titan emblem. I think is what'll go on there. Again, my whole arm is gonna be basically just things and moments in video games in my life that I don't want to forget from like an entertainment standpoint. So a lot of Star Wars will be on. Metal Gear, I'll have a big Solid Snake, as well as Master Chief will be on the bottom part, as well as a bunch of stuff from Star Wars, like my favorite ship. My favorite ship is a snow speeder, by the way, for anyone that wanted to know. Have the Normandy SR2 somewhere on there. But yeah, so anyways, I'm going to get that done today. So there won't be any stream today, but then Tuesday we'll be back to normal. So a lot to go over there, and appreciate all the feedback. The last thing, so last episode, I turned on memberships on my channel. And I had no idea what YouTube memberships are, but someone asked me, how do I support you if I wanted to, and I don't want to watch Twitch, right? So watch Twitch if you can, but Twitch is not for everyone. So I turned on memberships. I threw on like $5 is like the only amount. I don't want more, and I didn't know. Maybe I'll make it even less. I don't know. But I was like, for anyone, there was 5 people that did it, or 6 people that did it, and they left comments, and I said that I would look at one of the comments, every episode, and kind of highlight a member. I think that's like a nice way to like reward anyone that wants to go above and beyond to support me. So Crash and Burnt, as you can see, Josh, Bud Light Slayer, and he had a couple, and then Crash and Burn. So Crash and Burns actually had a bunch of likes. So he says, as you can also tell who's subbed, you get this little badge in your comments as well. So as someone who has no problem dropping $25 in Hut here and there, spending a few bucks to become a member was an absolute no-brainer. I'm glad you contribute to the treadmill fund. Thank you, Sleeves. I have 2 questions. Rank from best to worst. Hashik, Wah, and Brodeur. It's Wow, man, that's tough. They were all at the one point in their career the best of all time. I will say Brodeur, Wah, and Hashik. Longevity and accomplishment. There's argument for all 3. I got to watch Hashik a lot when I was a kid. Again, being in Southern Ontario, I went to Buffalo games all the time. And then Patrick Wah, I don't really know how, he is almost every record until Brodeur, broke them. Which of the 3 goalies in the NHL do you think are the current Hasek, Wah, and Brodeur? I have this conversation on stream quite a bit, that I think that we were blessed with one of the greatest eras of goaltending of all time, and we are nowhere near that now. We don't have the top 3 now. Well, Hellebuck for sure would be he's an automatic first ballot Hall of Famer. But he doesn't have any accomplishments postseason wise, and internationally, I don't believe either. He is not a big game goalie, it appears. Or he just gets worn out. It's Hashik, or sorry, it's Hellebuck. And I don't even think it's Shesterkin anymore. For a while, it was like Shesterkin and Sorokin had to be it, but I think in terms of Hasek, Wah, and Brodeur, it's probably Hellebuck, Vasilevsky because of the accomplishment. Even now, he's faltering quite a bit, but, he is 100% a first ballot Hall of Fame goaltender. And then the last one is number 3. Is it Bobrovsky? He had so many years of random, bad. There was a time where he was the worst contract in the sport. I'm going to go with it's Hellebuck. It's Hellebuck. It is Vasilevsky. And I guess Shesterkin. That third one, I'm probably forgetting someone very obvious, but it's a very wide open thing. Because again, I don't think that we have anywhere near the same level that we did in the early 2000s of goaltending. I think we went from that era and to Luongo, Lundqvist. Tim Thomas was probably Hashik, just for a much smaller time, right? We went from this to this incredible era of goaltending, and then now we're it's just not generational, I guess would be the way. I literally think that these 3 are the best of all time of any era. So I appreciate the comment, and again, thank you for the membership. I really do appreciate it. So all right, let's get into some of the other questions. He says, "Hi, Sleeves. I have an interesting question for you. I'm an Avs fan, and so far I've seen that Gavin Brindley is nowhere to be found in the Rookies event for the next gen. My question is, what happens if Brindley becomes one of the 3 nominees in Rookie of the Year? How will the NHL Hut Group fix that? Because, as I've said, he's nowhere to be found right now, and he has 6 points in 6 games, starting to play higher in the lineup because of injury. Just wondering, thanks for all the content." They would have to retroactively, they would have to come out with a Gavin Brindley next gen card at some point, which they might, right? But yeah, There's really no way. The Calder Trophy is actually pretty wide open. Like last year, I thought we had a great Calder class. Like Mitchkov didn't even get nominated, right? Like it's pretty crazy when you think about it. You had Lane Hudson break the record for defenseman rookies, and Macklin was like a point per game. Like it's pretty crazy. This year, it is like a new changing of the guard. Like I think it's a more deep class, and you got Schaefer and Demidov, but even Snuggerud has like 10 points. You've got Z Buyam who has got 10 and 18. Like there's a lot. Unless he gets a next gen card with that Calder stamp, he won't, unfortunately. And there is 2 more days of content that's coming out. I would assume he's going to get a next gen card. What's funny is the Leafs ended up outshooting the Hawks and probably played their best game of the season and still lost. They just have nothing going right. Yeah, I talked a lot about the Leafs. I watched a little bit of that game. That was probably their best game. And God, they are lost. They are in danger of just, like I said, the only thing that's saving them is that the entire league is mid and there isn't like 5 or 6 just world beater teams. Everyone is at 500. Like the Leafs are 2 points out of a playoff spot right now, right? But they've played like 13 games at home already. Like it is going to be a crazy middle of that season that I don't know what they're going to do. Winner Shark says, the next gen week 2 doesn't make much sense to me in terms of master set picks. Reinbacher hasn't played in a game in the NHL. Misa has 3 points, not throwing shade. You are. Don't disrespect. No, I'm just kidding. Perek has 1, and Koivunen has been picked over Kindle is crazy. So, I'll read the rest, actually. There are numerous players who deserve an MSP more than some of the actual picks. Seneca, Wood, Finney, Levshinov, Kindle, Brindley, ASP, and Minton are all showing that they have potential to be a valuable player of the league. Yet some of them don't even have an event card, let alone an MSP. All this aside, I'm just bitter that Simashev hasn't gotten a card as he's played every game so far on the top pair for Utah. So, let me explain how this is a little bit in the background. So, they have to... what's the word I'm looking for here? Contract the oh my God, why can't I get this across? The card art has to be commissioned. So they have an in-house graphic designer. I believe his name is Micah, and he is the GOAT. I honestly think that a lot of the NHL card art is better than all card art in Ultimate Team games. And yes, MLB uses Upper Deck and stuff like that, but that's not really fair because that's Upper Deck. I'm talking about the master set card art. I think that a lot of it is incredible, and he does incredible work. But they need to also commission it to just people like that outside the company and things like that to get it done. So you can't just whip up an MSP in or 8 MSPs in a couple days. Like sometimes this art takes a long time for a lot of players, or a lot of people, right? That being said, they have to make the master set selections far earlier because of that. Right. So that's why, in my opinion, I think that Robrick was probably picked because Robrick at the beginning of the year, he hasn't struggled, but he hasn't popped off the start of the year for Niagara. He's like point per game player, but he looked like he was going to be like Porter Martone, which I guess ended up being in like after top 5. So, but there was like maybe because of his size and shot that he might be top 3. But those MSP picks, those are done far in advance. Like I guarantee you, like I don't know if it would have been done before the season. But it's probably done like these ones probably in that first month that these were made would be my guess. So that's why it's the players that they have picked. Kindle, nobody saw coming being the way that he is. 100% he should be an MSP, but no one saw him basically being one of the saviors for the Pittsburgh Penguins. Emmett Finney was a 7th round pick. If you knew that he was going to come in and then actually perform well, even the most diehard Red Wings fans, like that was a good feeling story, not something that you actually thought he was going to make the team, perform well, right? Seneca, you could argue, he's probably just something, like, again, those are all great options, but it's just done too far in advance. I would assume Simashev does get one. They're probably going to put almost every rookie that's played a game. They've still got 2 more event drops, right, on Tuesday and Wednesday, I think, which means that there's a potential for like another like 20 cards. I would assume that Simashev is in there, but that's why. It's no way you said hockey is a boring sport and you're watching baseball. Out of context, my man, I said that if you watch a full hockey game, or there is hockey games in their entirety that have very boring stretches, 100%. You want to go watch the New Jersey Devils in the early 2000s, where they just pack everyone back and basically it was just dump and chase, and you're just turning the puck over. You're not flying end to end the entire time, right? There's a lot of games where nothing happens. You're getting perimeter shots, no rebounds. Like, that happens. That being said, hockey is a more exciting sport than baseball. Don't get it twisted. I love watching baseball, especially in the postseason, because every pitch matters. It's like being on the power play every single minute of the game, right? I think, but again, baseball is a very boring sport in the middle of the season if you don't like the team or have something on the line. Out of context, my man. But hockey has boring stretches. To say that it doesn't is insane. There's no way that you've locked in every single game and there isn't a moment where you like check your phone when just nothing's going on, right? Like, that's but I do to say that I think that hockey is a better sport than baseball is crazy. I don't think like that. All right, Chromatic. He says, everyone says the chemistry system is great, but it's really not. It's just new and will get stale within a year. Yeah, team building is incredibly different and actually requires thought now, but I will say I agree with him. If things don't evolve and it stays the same for the next 3 years, total agree. We'll get bored and tired. That's every video game that is. Call of Duty is getting absolutely smoked in reviews and whatnot because guess what? After 10 years of the same thing, and then there's now other options. Arc Raiders, Tarkov, Battlefield is actually good. That's what happens, right? Even the most popular games of all time go through this. But yes, I agree completely if they don't make any adjustments or changes and improvement. Number one, content is usable because EA is focusing on making chemistry specific fitting content. See Alex Tuck Vegas literally the next day after dropping a +6 Eichel, or wow, a Gartner Lindros McDavid line combo the same. All three of those are released. They could have easily made usable content without needing chems. Ooh, I disagree because last year it was very similar where Team of the Week cards were usable in terms of overall, but you couldn't get them up into the like, okay, now the hardcore players teams. Like, if you have 82, I think it's Damon Hunt and Justin Barron, the 82 overall team of the week cards from like the launch of the game, dude, that's a usable line combo right now somehow. So like, I don't really know, yes, do they make cards and based on line combos to try and get you to spend more money to get those cards and chase after? 1000%. As a business, they should. Does it suck sometimes? Absolutely. When I enjoy it is when the cards are buildable. So you mentioned the Gartner Lindros McDavid line. Yes, you couldn't get that immediately if you're a no money spent player, but you can build them so you can slowly get there, right? The Alex Tuck one, that sucks. That's the stuff that sucks. Zadorov's even worse. That's a better example. The Zadorov one was egregious because that card was higher than the MSP overalls. Progression is just out the window. One of the best parts of fantasy was when players would beat progression. 89 Burakovsky doesn't even make teams and won't make teams in Season 2 after midseason when Chems go up to 6+6 again. True. Don't disagree. It does diminish the fantasy event a little bit. And I will say that this year's fantasy event, well, there was many issues when the event was actually out as to why it is not nearly as good of an event. But I will say that it was incredibly boring to have Alex Parayko on my team for the start to finish. Did I say Alex Parayko? I'm looking at Alex, someone, Colton Parayko, Colt 99. What Alex Parayko? I don't even know how I came up with that. Colton Parayko on my team the entire time. But yes, it does diminish that, right? He has to completely beat progression. But I will say, when you see line combos reset, like this is what I talked about with the MSP rankings from the next gen. All the cards look extremely mid when you take away any of the line combo boosts, if they don't get any, right? But we're forgetting that in normal progression, even last year, 88 and 89 speed right now is fast. Like, that is high for how the progression worked. So I don't think it'll be a big drop off. 89 Burakovsky is still going to be one of the best cards in the game minus line combos, right? And I think at the end of the day, because of the line combos resetting every season, that just having a high-end card is still the number one important thing. It still is. And then eventually, if they ever luck into it, I think it is important. So no matter what, the fantasy event, the cards that break away, when they hit 99 or get to a point at like 94, like, they are still going to be the best cards in the game. But I do see that I do see the point that it has limited fantasy a little bit. EA is dictating the meta so heavily now. Before it was just Max, Center, McDavid. That's fine, given that that's two of the top 5 players in the league. But how the heck is EA going to try to tell me Cole Caulfield have boost is better than McDavid? One's a 40 goal scorer. The other is the best 40 goal scorer to never hit 40 goals. I love that. Total agreement there. Or DuPont is now better than Chel, Bobby Orr 2.0 Makar. One's a multiple Norris winning defenseman. The other's just some current junior prospect teams will want to draft. I think you glossed over. EA is dictating our teams to an extent, but that has never been different. The meta was whoever is fast and whoever has certain abilities, much like it is right now. But there are tons of different line combos right now that players could have. The main ones, that's what a lot of people chase after. But there's a lot of that you don't hear from where people just have cards from past events and they just luck into it. To say that the EA is not dictating the meta before this year, before line combos, is pretty crazy to me. Because you just literally went and got the same cards over and over again. I can't tell you how many times that I just ended up with McKinnon, McDavid, and Kucherov or something along those lines every single year. Gretzky, Mario. Like it was, if you were to go and look, man, like it is very similar on the way up. And this at least makes you think and it allows you to use more of the cards in the player base. But I don't disagree that they are dictating the meta heavily, but they have always done that. I think that you're minimizing how it used to be. PWHL, Euro, and Junior, not next-gen players, haven't seen usable cards since September. It was fine knowing if I wanted to use someone like Heisey or Silverberg, I would be at a disadvantage over a Mac McDavid line, but now it's just insane. I think that they have... Again, I think this is a business thing. I think if you were to go and look at how many people made sets that included Junior, Euro, and PWHL players, well, I think that it is necessary in the game. It is NHL, not Hockey 26, and I think that the lack of using those sets is so low and done that they just were like, you know what, we're going to focus on NHL content because that drives engagement. And again, for 80-90% of the player base, that is all that they care about is just NHL players. I love, for example, I love when when OHLers get cards. So I'm not saying that that's a good thing, but that is my guess that they're not doing PWHL master set items. Although the PWHL season isn't even out yet, so I would anticipate we're probably getting something like that. But that's why we're not getting Euro, Junior, and PWHL content. It's probably because they've seen it never be a driver of things. Like it never drives interest, and that's kind of why. They are also the fact that we paid for the game. Yet now we have 99 HUT. Not all of us want this. Some of us like the system where 99 comes at the end of the season. The community complained about 99 HUT coming early ad nauseum for years. I paid for a video game. Video game's supposed to be fun. Having to play 99 HUT every season is not. Having to use whatever cards EA decides to get a plus 6 speed isn't fun. Do I want to use Nick Schmaltz Team of the Week or Will Smith's XP card? No, not at all. But because I'm online, I'm not good enough to use non-chem boosts. I have to. So this would be a situation where either you have to really focus on becoming better at the game, and I'm not trying to like LOL get good. You need to look up YouTubers. You need to look up my strategies video, things like that. You need to watch some of the better players, watch your own game back. If really what you care about is playing online, that's it. You don't play offline. I would recommend that you're not having any fun with it. You can avoid 99 entirely by playing offline. But if you want to play online, then the situation you're in, you need to get better at the game, and that is not an easy thing to do. If you go back and watch my No Money Spent series last year, I was Division 2 the entire year until I decided, okay, I'm time to be Division 1, and I spent weeks learning and doing the things that I had to do to become a Division 1 player. And the same thing can be said from going from Division 6 to Division 5. There's just obviously much easier, much less, right? Like that's what you need to do because your things that you don't like about the game, I 100% understand why you wouldn't like them. But I think that the majority of the player base disagrees with a lot of this. Not all of it, but a lot of it. And the way that you want to enjoy the game is building whatever team you want to use. The goal should be to build whatever team that you want, the players you want, and still not hinder you online, which EA has not figured out yet. That is not something they have figured out, and I don't know if they ever will. But it wasn't like it was. The complaints you have right now, I don't know how you didn't have them last year. I don't understand how you wouldn't have them last year. Everyone's saying it's only 1 week. DuPont is 99 for 2 weeks. It's a 1 to 2 every season. If we have 4 seasons, but by the time MLB comes out, that's 1 to 2 months of the game where we have 99 HUT MLB comes out in March. I'm very confident everyone who says it's only 1 week has also complained about 1 week things. Accountants complain about tax season. I know, I have 2 accountants in the family. People complain about mowing the grass, preparing for a party, cleaning up after, scraping the ice off their windshield. Guess that all of these things, aside from tax season, are less than 1 week in length each time. Quit being hypocritical, people. Understand that we purchased this game without EA explaining 99 HUD is every season. Had they done so, I would 100% have avoided giving them money. Why do I want to buy a game while I either hate playing or stop playing 1 to 2 weeks each season? I already bought it this year, so I guess I'll just continue to play it and other games until MLB. That line, man. I already bought it this year, so I guess I'll just continue to play it and other games until MLB drops. Man, I beg you. That is just addiction. I know you want to play a hockey game, but you've just gave a very detailed criticism of why you don't want to, and I don't disagree with everything. Like I said, I think that you have a lot of like fair complaints about the game. Please play something else. I beg you, as my dog Summerish is very upset. She's saying play another game, man. Play another game. Doing this is not going to show NHL anything. You have to, if you really want to see something different, you need to put the game down. That is the only way that you can cast your vote. But 26 is the last NHL I'm getting until chemistry has changed. So it's to EA controlling the meta, EA deciding what cards can be used, and no 99 HUT until the end of the season. Again, this is wild to me. I don't know how it's any different than prior years. EA has always dictated the meta. Whatever cards are the fastest, whatever MSPs are the easiest to make, whatever abilities are the absolute best, that is what dictates the meta every single year, man. I don't know how it is any different. I have no idea. I felt frustration when I didn't have cards or the ability to get the line combos. I couldn't get DuPont. Very frustrating. But I was just like, okay, it's just not for me. I'm going to go maybe play some champs, but maybe I won't this week. I'll just go do something else. And I beg you to do that yourself, man. The I don't like it, but I guess I'll continue to play it. It is a video game, man. It is your way to get away from the stresses of life. What you're describing is that you're stressed out, but you feel a sunk cost fallacy where you've already spent $100. So I need to keep playing it. Man, your time is valuable. What do you make an hour at work? That's roughly what every hour is worth to your in your lifestyle right now. So every hour that you play not liking NHL, you've just lost X amount of dollars. You know what I mean? So please go play something else, man. And I hope that season 2 brings a lot of better changes for you, because I don't think it's over yet. But my recommendation: don't play. Watch my channel for the updates, see if there's things like that. But yeah, man, I wish you all the best there. That's going to do it for Coffee and Chel this episode. Again, I appreciate all of the feedback. And again, leave your dev questions. Again, dev question, then leave the question. And then please go through and like the ones that you want. Again, I don't know if I can guarantee it, but I do like to reach out sometimes and maybe be like, get some discourse going. Happens, once in a blue moon, but who knows? All right, guys, I will see you next time. Have a good one.